For the best part of 3 decades, biologist and angling enthusiast Jeremy Wade has been fascinated by the weird and wonderful creatures that lurk beneath the rivers of our world, and as presenter of the hugely popular River Monsters series on Animal Planet, he has brought viewers up close and personal with fish species that are normally only found in our nightmares. From gigantic stingrays and venomous species that can kill in an instant to the small but equally creepy finds like the blood-sucking lamprey, it's fair to say you won't find any cuddly river dwellers on his catch list. Anyone who watched presenter and angling fanatic Jeremy Wade in action on River Monsters will know that some of the highlights of the show, no doubt for Wade himself, are the accidental catches along the way, and this is one he could not throw back in a hurry. While on the lookout for bull sharks in Australia Brisbane River, Wade instead stumbled across this gigantic beast known as the Queensland grouper. Groupers are the kind of fish that can change their sex from female to male to allow the biggest and most dominant female of the group to become male. If only they could change into something a little cuddlier.
Like something from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, it certainly isn't a shark. But what on earth is it?
It's not a shark, but it is an exceptional fish.
It's just remarkable.
That is something, isn't it? Oh, I've never seen anything like this in my life before. It's what they call a Queensland groper. This is a monster. I mean, it's not the monster I was after, but this is a monster.
Look at it. This is 3 inches.
What about the girth?
Yeah.
2'1". Its girth is 4 foot 3 inches. 4 foot 3 inches.
This is a protected marine fish, normally found on reefs, but they're known to come into river mouths like this on rare occasions.
Look at that. This fish, even Terry and Ben haven't seen anything like this anywhere like this size, you know, so it's just an amazing catch, and particularly from a river. Just, you know, this thing really is a river monster.
Forget the cute smallish kind of stingrays you might see swimming by you at the aquarium. This is the daddy of all stingrays, the giant stingray, and one which took Jeremy Wade nearly 4 hours to catch. While in Argentina in the Parana River, Wade set his sights on this colossal creature weighing in at a whopping 280 pounds. This alarming river beast was anything but an easy catch to haul in, as Wade will attest to. There's no finesse to bringing in a stingray. You are just using very heavy gear and trying to break the suction that it has with the bottom.
I land one of the biggest, strongest and most alien freshwater fish I've ever seen.
The thing I really want to do with this one, though, is get a close look at the tail. I mean, obviously not too close.
And to think this is a fish that until recently I didn't even know existed. The Chucho de Rio is unlike any other ray I've come across.
Okay, nearly 53 inches.
Which would make it easily 250 pounds. But what really makes this species stand out is that it is a killer, with a weapon as brutal as a medieval mace, like a club fortified with rusty nails, which it drives in with its massive bulk.
I might have to just kneel on top of the animal. Okay. That's what I wanted to look at. The dead animal I saw had its tail chopped off. This one has its sting intact. It's got 2 stings on there. And also, by the look of it, you know, this can come a long way on either side. It's also very flexible. So I wouldn't want to get anywhere near this. Time to put this back in the water. My arms are just aching so much. I've been fishing solid for 11 days. If this feels anything like I do, it's very tired. What I'm about to do now is actually very significant, because this is a fish, I always like to return fish alive, but this is a fish where, you know, the locals don't give it any quarter.
This stingray has evolved to survive in totally fresh water. In fact, it is now thought to be incapable of living in the sea.
Just bent over it here, I'm just not seeing the shape of the fish at all. I've just got this huge broad back with this amazing pattern on it. As fish go, it has to be one of the strangest fish there is, and in a river as well, you know, the size of this thing.
I've been fishing the world's rivers now for 4 decades, But landing a monster like this makes me wonder what else is out there.
Officially, Jeremy Wade's largest freshwater catch ever was the moment he grappled with the giant African bull shark. Proof positive that the river monster's host is never one to shy away from a challenge. Wade persevered to catch this beast of the rivers, taking him 2.5 hours just to reel it in with a fishing line. The bull shark weighs in at almost 500 pounds and can grow to reach a staggering 9 feet in length. Wade and the team reeled this particular beast in from the Zambezi River, but they can also be found in both fresh and saltwater locations along the coast of Brazil and eastern Angola.
Okay, I've got the line. If it goes, it can go without the line catching anybody. Put that line around the... Right, have you got the tow strap round? Yeah. Good, okay, brilliant. Got a good hold? Yeah. Okay.
This is my biggest catch ever, and 2.5 hours is by far my longest fight. It's astonishing to think that I've hauled this beast from a river.
Oh, and you? Yeah.
But I was lucky to get it in at all, because it was foul hooked in the side, snagged on a flap of skin between the gill slits. The scientists want to know why the sharks are here.
Right, this is like sort of time is of the essence, and they're starting to pump water to irrigate the gills. That buys a little bit more time.
Last year's giant catch was a heavily pregnant female, which led the scientists to assume she was in this river to deliver her 2-foot-long pups. Our expectation is that this fish too is female.
3, 2, 1. It's a male!
Our first catch, and we have answered one of our questions. It looks like the Camera.River is a place where sharks come to feed.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
9.5 feet, and with an estimated weight near 500 pounds, he's one of the largest bull sharks ever caught anywhere, and I'm returning him back into the river.
These intimidating and aptly named sawfish used to be found quite extensively across the globe, but since they have become repeatedly tangled up in fishing nets, their worldwide numbers have declined pretty rapidly. Now, the sawfish is quite a rare sight, so we can rest a little easier. River Monsters host Jeremy Wade, of course, was able to catch one while in West Australia. While it seems like a sizable catch to us, Wade revealed that he had essentially only caught a juvenile sawfish. This one was about 7 feet long. I believe they grow up to 20 feet long, but the adults are never really seen.
Well, imagine one of these things 20 foot long, which is what they grow to when they get into the sea. But yeah, so just like a shark, if you look at the back end of it, come forward, that's just like a ray's mouth, a stingray's mouth. But, you know, that is the unique feature. And even on a small one like this, just look, you know, that's quite a fearsome weapon. And actually, although this is a small one, very good thing to see, because for fish like this to exist, and this is probably about a year old, there have to be breeding size adults around. Fantastic. I wish I caught it myself.
I'm here to catch a monster, but for now I just want to return the pup unharmed.
Just moving the tail to get the circulation going a bit.
Although he may have made it look easy, reeling some of the world's largest freshwater fish wasn't always a straightforward task for the river monster's host, and one fish in particular almost made the catch seem impossible. The Amazonian arapaima fish are known for their incredible strength and lightning speed, making them a dangerous one to reel in. Wade's first attempt with an 80-pound arapaima didn't end so well. I don't know if it was making a last bid for freedom or aiming at me, but it hit me in the sternum. I could still feel that after 6 weeks.
Right, it's got to be out. There we go. Meu boss aqui. Oh, look at that, it came out so easily.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready. There it is. Look at that for a fish. Look at that! Massive female arapaima, about 150 pounds. I finally have the proof in my arms that huge arapaima are still out here. This is a true dinosaur.
Host Wade reeled in this catch, which can only be found in an incredibly remote part of the Congo River. Thank goodness for that. The Congo tigerfish, also known as the Goliath tigerfish, is related to the piranha. As you can probably tell, it is essentially a giant piranha, which Wade confirms can grow to the size of a man. But wait, it gets more nightmarish. The Goliath tigerfish has something in common with one of our main predators of the sea. The tigerfish I caught on camera, revealed Wade, had teeth the same length as those on a 1,000-pound great white shark.
We got the fish. All we've got to worry about now is it biting its way out. The mouth is going, the fish is breathing, that's good. And the gills are going, that's good. This water is nicely aerated, that's a good thing as well. Now, those teeth! That will just take lumps out of other fish, it will take lumps out of crocodiles even, and there are stories well documented of that taking lumps out of people. Wow, there we go. Oof. What a freshwater monster this thing is. What I'm looking at here is the ultimate piranha. Those teeth, just like a piranha's, triangular, sharp blades down the side, and they interlock. They interlock almost like scissors. They will just cut a lump out. Two big differences though. One is piranhas hunt in packs. You know, this is a solitary hunter, and the other thing is the size. People who think that piranhas are scary, if they saw one of these things, I think their nightmares might be populated by a slightly different animal.
When you consider that the largest type of electric eel can deliver around 500 volts to you, this has got to be one of the bravest wildlife photos ever taken. With 30 years experience under his belt, host Jeremy Wade and his River Monsters team took every possible precaution not to get zapped by this freshwater predator. "We got the kind of people who work on power lines," said Wade of the risky catch, "thick rubber boots and gloves." Sue also took a defibrillator. Thankfully, the latter turned out to be unnecessary, but Wade and his team took extra caution after hearing about a local death by an electric eel that wrapped tightly around the chest and delivered repeated shocks to the heart.
That's 5'10½". That's pretty much exactly the same as me. This is exactly the same size as the eel that killed Francisco, the 21-year-old man who died in the tiny pond near Villanova. If I wasn't wearing these rubber gloves, I could be dead too. It's over 100 degrees and I don't want the fish to overheat, so time it went back in the water. The pond may be shallow at the moment, but the rains are not far behind me. The waters will soon rise, giving this eel the freedom to roam once again.
The title of largest freshwater fish in all of Africa belongs to the Nile perch, and ever the ambitious angler, Jeremy Wade caught the impressive creature in the second season of his River Monsters series. The Nile perch reeled in by Wade weighed just over 100 pounds. But they can grow up to as much as 250 pounds in weight. By even attempting to catch the perch, Wade put his life at risk, since Africa Rift Valley, which they inhabit, is known as the most dangerous place to fish on the planet. Storms can brew in an instant and giant crocs and hippos that can maul you to death are waiting beneath.
Ratchet off. The line's coming up, the line's coming up. That's a Nile perch, it's a good sized one. There it is. In this part of the Nile, the goal is to land fish quickly before the crocs come looking for easy prey. It's a decent-sized Nile perch and a great start to my quest for a giant. And then... Now, this has got an unusual capture. It actually swallowed the bait fish head first, down to about here. I think it was actually this dorsal barb of the bait fish that actually stopped the bait coming out of its throat, not the hook. let's just support it maybe like that. Look at that. Let's get down. Okay. Whew, very nice fish this. 70 pounds, something like that, but beautiful fish, lovely, beautiful coloration, very strong as well.
The paddle-like tail and muscular body indicate a fish designed for power and acceleration. These fish are ambush predators, relying on their large eyes to target prey.
And just cavernous mouth on this thing, it just inhales its food fish whole.
I've got to let this fish recover before I let it go, and that means exposing myself to a potential croc attack. But out here in the middle of the river, it's my only option.
The gargantuan goonch catfish caught in the foothills of the Himalayas is a strange specimen indeed. Not only is the sheer size of this creature pretty intimidating, but this fish was also responsible for a few cases of disappearances in the area, so you know this river monster is every bit as powerful as it looks. Before heading out to India in search of the goonch, Jeremy Wade had heard stories of people being pulled under the water. Knowing that there were no crocodiles, pythons or bull sharks in the area, Wade decided the goonch was the likely culprit. The water very muddy, so they tend to grab whatever in front of their face.
Man-sized animal. That is as big as a person. It is bigger than a lot of people around here. That is a big fish. They do exist, the goonch do exist. 6 foot of muscle behind that mouth, and those teeth are just like shark teeth pointing back. If that got hold of you, there'd be no getting away. When I was diving with Rick, and we were seeing these beasts under the water, and they just look so otherworldly. Is it a hallucination? Do these things really exist? And yes, the goonch does exist. Just the absolute perfect predator. Huge mouth on there. Huge, huge, huge mouth. And if anything just comes down within range of that mouth, it's too late. I mean, big as this fish is, the fish that is taking people would be bigger than this. I mean, it wouldn't actually need to be more than a couple of feet longer, but that would really give it a bit more weight. I mean, it would probably weigh twice as much as this. And, you know, just the thought of that is quite terrifying. Okay, is it off the ground?
Now, yes.
Okay, 166. 106.
Jeremy Wade fought hard to catch this monstrous eel in the dark while on a night shoot in Fiji. After wrestling to get the nearly 5-foot-long beast into the net, Wade observed its sharp rows of teeth, and this quickly confirmed what the local villagers had feared in relation to people being injured by the marbled eel bite. There were stories about these mythic beasts grabbing people, Wade explained. But the reason a lot of fish do that is that they don't know they are grabbing a person. If the visibility is poor in the water, they assume a small fish is in front of their face.
But it is surprisingly bold. Despite living in pitch black, it has absolutely no fear of the light, or of me. It's on a single-minded search for flesh. Yet this carnivorous instinct doesn't, on its own, make the longfin a killer.
I want to find out if they can get big enough and aggressive enough to be seriously dangerous to people. Could they ever be, in the words of Cook, devourers of men?
River Monsters host Wade refers to the creepy-looking alligator gar as a prehistoric beast. No kidding. These bizarre creatures have actually been inhabiting rivers since the Jurassic period, and owing to their oddly long snout of unforgivingly sharp teeth, they are even thought to be more dangerous than sharks. While traveling along the Trinity River in Texas, Wade caught this 123-pound gar, and during the course of filming the catch, Wade himself actually suffered a bite and drew blood. Considering that some alligator gars can grow to as large as 300 pounds, Wade was lucky to wrestle with this one and come away relatively unharmed.
Out from side to side like a scythe. I haven't forgotten that 3-footer that got me.
This fish is almost 7 feet long.
Single hook.
Single hook.
Single hook, single hook. We've done it, we've done it. Fantastic, Mark, that was really... Ooh. Okay, we got the gaff handle?
Yes.
All right, so this will go in here. Okay. The teeth of this scar are another ½ inch longer than those that scarred me earlier. I think it's 123 pounds.
The magnificent giant oarfish are very rarely seen, but of course, Jeremy Wade was lucky enough to come face to face with the elusive creature. While he may not have taken the opportunity to catch it like his other river monsters, Wade was happy enough to just encounter the 11-meter-long messenger of the sea. Despite spending 3 decades pursuing some of the rarest and strangest marine life out there, the river monster's host was still beguiled by the oarfish, admitting, "Here was a fish I never thought I would see in my lifetime." Adding, "If it hadn't been on film, I'd probably be thinking it that really happened, or did I just imagine it?"
This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I think more people have seen the Earth from space than have seen one of these this close. Such an outlandish looking thing. I won't even touch it. I actually touched it. Oh.
They are very unusual looking fish. They are quite ribbon-like in shape, so they're long, very thin-bodied, and they move mainly by undulating the dorsal fin. They're very strange-looking things. They're very colourful, very mysterious.
Look at this. 1 minute it wasn't there, and then suddenly it's right next to me. I can scarcely believe this. It almost came out of another dimension.
There are these unseen wonders in the world, and normally they exist completely separately from us. At the time it seemed almost unbelievable. Here is this very rare fish that I never thought I would ever see in my life, certainly not a live, healthy one that had come up 1.5 miles from the bottom of the sea.
There's two. Incredible.
It's really hard to single out a most memorable experience. If I was absolutely forced to select one, I think the oarfish might be it.
Did I really see what I just saw?
Over the course of 9 series of river monsters, Jeremy Wade came across many species of catfish, but the largest catch of all was the Paraíba catfish of the Amazon. Wade reeled in this beauty, which can be found in the basins of the Amazon River and is thought to be one of the most beautiful of their kind. It was certainly a thrill for Wade to catch, admitting, "This is the one I wanted, the Paraíba, the real monster of the Amazon." He continued, "This is the fish that people say when it gets big enough, it goes after people as well."
Strong fish. Ah! After a struggle of nearly half an hour, I have the better of it.
There it is, that's the fish, there's the fish! There's the fish! Paraíba, it's a Paraíba.
Here we go. This is the one I wanted. This is the Paraíba, the real monster of the Amazon. Fish is growling at me. Oh, big old mouth on there. Heavy, heavy fish. I can hardly hold this up. My arms are pretty shot anyway. No, I can feel the fish flexing. It's about to kick. Whoa. Oops. And this is the one that people say, when it gets big enough, it goes after people as well. Looks a bit like a shark, and it has a reputation to match. This is a big one, but they do go bigger. This one, I don't know, possibly about 80 pounds. I mean, you know, this is a man-sized fish, but they go bigger than man-sized. They go a size big enough to swallow a man. And a streamlined fish, smooth skin, no scales, but it's a very streamlined catfish. Most catfish are pretty slobby. They mope around on muddy bottoms, but this is a fish of fairly fast current, and I can just feel that muscle flexing. That's a lovely, lovely result. And am I tired? What I've got to do, though, is remember that the fish is as tired as I am. So, although I want to admire it out of the water, I've got to get it back and think of the fish's recovery as well. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Sturgeon are not normally aggressive or particularly predatory, but the Kaluga species of sturgeon, otherwise known as the river beluga, is in a whole other ballpark. Kaluga sturgeon are thought to be the largest freshwater fish on the planet, able to reach a maximum length of around 18 feet and can weigh up as much as 1,000 kilograms. Jeremy Wade reeled in a smaller but nonetheless intimidating Kaluga while out on the Camera.River in East Russia. Wade noted how much their mouth differs from a regular sturgeon. A normal sturgeon mouth is just a tube that sucks things off the bottom, but a Kaluga mouth extends forwards, like a catfish.
It's taken me half an hour to bring this sturgeon in. Knowing that this is only around half the length they can grow to, I now totally believe that a larger one could drag a tree stump into the water. That was a tiring fight. I've caught some big fish in fresh water. This is probably the biggest freshwater fish I've caught. About 300 pounds, this one. It's, you know, a real monstrous fish.
That's actually 105 or even 106 inches. That's 8 foot 10 inches. Nearly 9 foot. Nearly 9 foot, this fish. It's quite a thought. That's 1.5 times me.
At 9 feet, this fish is roughly 80 years old, but they can live to over 100.
This looks big in the water, but these things grow to 20 foot, possibly even more, and I mean, just imagine seeing that in the water. I mean, you could be forgiven for saying that was a monster.
Up to 20 feet long matches all the descriptions I've heard about the monster, including Robin's. Plus, the pectoral fins and the long, streamlined body fit how she described what she saw. But what about the teeth marks on the propeller?
Just take a little look at the mouth here. Although it's, you know, you could say it's predatory, it's eaten quite a large dead fish, but there's no teeth in there at all. I can put my hands in there. See, it's very telescopic. You can imagine that just extending and literally just sucking in a small fish.
Having only gums means it couldn't have been teeth marks on the propeller, but I think I know what caused them.
And what's interesting about a sturgeon, it hasn't got a bony skeleton the way we have or the way most other fish has. It's just got cartilage, but what it has got, it's got bony plates on the outside of the body, not totally covering it, but just in rows, and these are, you know, some form of protection. They really are, you know, sort of quite tough bits of bone. There we go. And also a very bony head, very bony gill flap as well.
I believe Bill Treffon's parents actually ran over a white sturgeon.
This might be the smallest river monster on Jeremy Wade catch list, but if these creatures ever latch on to you, you will know about it, as they pack a considerable punch of pain in self-defense. The lamprey Wade found were discovered on the border between New York and Vermont, in Lake Champlain, and ever the adventurous angler Wade tested the lamprey's suction power for himself. I had one stuck to my neck to experience what it was like. It had a very strong suction, and if you wait a couple of seconds, the teeth will start to penetrate.
Looking me right in the eye. That's a good way to calm them down. But I now need to get it off and get it in the... Oh, look at that, it's actually... Oh! I've been bitten by fish before, but I mean, that was pretty creepy. This one, something just went through my legs.
Using their mucus coating and boneless flexibility, these primitive bloodsuckers find it easy to outmaneuver me.
To spot one of these gold giants shimmering beneath your fishing boat, you could be forgiven for thinking you stumbled upon bars and bars of the real thing. The colossal golden Dorado gleams like the mythical city of El Dorado, it named after, and is one of the most prized species of freshwater fish in the world. While in the Rio de la Plata River between Argentina and Uruguay, the river monster's host reeled in the golden Dorado by accident. While on the hunt for a short-tailed river stingray, Wade hooked this 43-pound beast. As pretty and shimmery as they look, these things have been known to sever limbs.
Like a pit bull, this massive beast weighs in at more than 40 pounds.
This is it. This is a serious size fish. Just look at that head and look at the teeth and the size of the jaw muscles that are going to be inside that gill flap there. A bit like bolt cutters, really, those jaws, particularly near the angle. Tremendous power.
I've opened the jaws of much bigger fish without a second thought. but there's no way I'm going to try and manipulate this slippery monster's mouth.
It's actually making me think of a spring-loaded man trap. It's not so much the size or sharpness of the teeth, it's the sheer force that you've got operating on these jaws.
And if you're in any doubt, you only have to call to mind the catfish sliced in half.
Any part of human anatomy that gets in those jaws, once you're in it, you're not going to get out.